Welcome to another lecture for English 2090. So what I want to focus on today, based on homework and everything, is kind of paragraph structure, thinking about how to structure analytical paragraphs, analytical writing. So you may be familiar with your composition courses, the Tollman Model. This is pretty much what we're dealing with. It's coming from this idea of the stoplight paragraph as well. So we're going to be playing on how to structure topic sentences, then support, then synthesis sentences, basically. But if you remember anything from 1050 or 1060, we're looking at the Tollman model. So what is it generally? It's basically a template. So the idea is that you could create any kind of argumentative structure in terms of a paragraph with following just three simple points: claim, data, warrant. Once you learn the structure, you create, again, variations of the model, but it's a good way to kind of develop your writing skills that I think we need based on how we're writing and what we're writing in this class. So these paragraphs are for anything, right? Any kind of expository writing. Obviously, we're focused on analytical, but there are times where we will be, evaluative as well, but most of it's going to be analytical. So what you kind of frame is this three-point structure, the claim, data, warrant, right? So green, you begin with stating an opinion, because a lot of times I've noticed, based on the discussion boards as well as the homework, that your first sentences are typically facts. You're just giving me detail. Whereas you want to refocus, right? You put the detail to prove your point. So you state your opinion and then you show, right? Then you give us examples and so forth. And then you don't just end there, you explain, right? So you never want to end a paragraph on a quote. You don't want to end any kind of paragraph on just detail. You always want to synthesize, explain, and so forth. It's always what we always want to do to help think about how to strengthen your analytical approach is to ask yourself the so what question. So what, right? So Macbeth is, set in Soviet kind of Romania. Well, so what, right? What's the point? So again, what you do is follow this Tolman model, which again should go back to your composition courses. You state your claim, you present your reason or data or evidence, whatever, to back it up, of course, and then you synthesize. You don't just end on data, right? You need to explain, can make those connections and so forth. So you explain how your evidence shows your ideas, supports your claim, and so forth. Just like math, you want to think about, showing your work. It's the same kind of concept. You want to show your work. So again, your claim sentence, the first sentence of every paragraph, basically should be an argument. So you state your opinion, it should be arguable, it should be interpretation based, right? That's what's going to be guiding your paragraph. That first sentence should be one of the strongest sentences in the paragraph because it, again, guides what you're kind of arguing. So a lot of times, you have strong claims, right? Before, while, because, whenever, something in your sentence to show that you're not just stating a detailed point. So we'll look at two examples and then show how you definitely can apply it to analyzing literature and film. So let's just make a clear claim, all right? Although Lich's and other Six Flags parks are a lot of fun, Disneyland is the best amusement park. We don't just stop there. We say a general reason too, because there's too much to do in a single day. That's the kind of key issue, is what I'm noticing, even when you sometimes have arguments in those topic sentences, it would be something like this, where you say, like, Disneyland is the best amusement park, but tell me a general reason. Tell me, a good kind of idea. If we're analyzing literature, this would be a good one. Let's say we're analyzing character, which is one of the kind of essays you'll have to be doing later. So while many characters in Romeo and Juliet play a role in teenagers' tragic deaths, Friar Lawrence is the most responsible for their early demise, right? Again, I would like to see a because there, but it's a good kind of start, right? And that's kind of the key issue here. You're making a claim, right? Your reason sentence then should be, again, textual evidence, visual evidence, whatever, that support the claim. So, again, you want to make it strong. You want to have evidence, direct quotes, for example, right? Paraphrases, right? Facts, right? Anything, detail, right? Anything that gives us a good, specific idea of how you're making those connection points, right? So let's take a look at this kind of paragraph. Well, then we could go, okay, the rides are spectacular and so forth. The shows are entertaining. So you could give us, again, notice how they're still argumentative based, but they're still detail points. So you could build upon a claim sentence with very specific data. Here's where also transitions come in, even within a paragraph. You don't just want to connect from paragraph to paragraph. You also want to think about how your sentences should transition from one into the other. You could use very cliched transitional words like first, next, and all that, or you could use much sophisticated ones, right, which you practice the more you read and the more you write. But you don't want to just jump from idea to idea. You have to have some kind of cohesion. So there should, no matter what, be at least one synthesis sentence that follows after any kind of detail point. So you make a claim, you give your reasoning, you give your data, and then you synthesize. You may need several what we call warrants or synthesis type sentences, right? But they help elaborate, connect those points. A lot of times what I'm seeing is you're implying a connection, but you're not directly stating it because in your head you're seeing the connection. But as a reader, I'm not seeing all of your thoughts, so you need to show your work. You need to show how you move from claim to data, then to meaning, and so forth. So it's all about elaborating. A lot of times the synthesis or warrant sentences are still very specific. They show your logical thought, critical thinking. They're expanding upon the information you're presented. They're connecting the data to the claim, which is crucial in order to, substantiate your interpretations, right? You need to defend your interpretations. And how do you do that? Strong warrants are just as crucial as strong topic sentences. We need to conclude on a specific strong synthesis or what we call warrant. So if our reason is the rides are spectacular, well, what do? Well, Space Mountain and Thunder Mountain make the heart race with speed and theatrics, and I like to sing along to blah, 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 right? The shows are entertaining. The new Snow White includes all these, right? So you're giving us, again, good kind of data. Now, your last sentence further synthesizes the material, right? You want to think about why a reader should care, what's meaningful about these ideas, why are these ideas important or significant? Always ask that so what question. That's crucial. What should a person conclude based on the paragraph's examples and so forth? So there's a lot to kind of think about as you're navigating the paragraph. So we even just like one conclusionary sentence, like all in all, Disneyland is a superior amusement park. We need that kind of synthesis sentence to just tie everything together to reinforce the argument, and now you have a strong argument. So if we just look at it in terms of division, right? So we have our claim, right? Disneyland is the best amusement park. What's our example? Well, first, the rides are great. How do we know? How so? Well, these specific rides are very, heart racing, and then this one is fun to sing along. We're not going to stop there. We're also going to say, hey, there's all these other shows, right? They're entertaining too, right? This new show has fireworks and it's fascinating to watch. We don't just stop there. We have some sort of synthesis to connect it all back together, right? All in all, it's a superior park. So you want to work with this model to strengthen your approach to analyzing literature. So let's take a look at this paragraph. Coming from a student essay from another class. So while many characters in Romeo and Juliet play a role in the teenagers' tragic deaths, Friar Lawrence is the most responsible for their early demise. Again, I would like to see a because there, but that's a clear analytical point. So what does the student do? Provide an example. First, Friar Lawrence performs the actual wedding ceremony without the parents' knowledge. Well, again, it's that so what? By marrying the two very young teenagers and not telling the parents, the friar is directly contributing to the events that causes their deaths. Had he talked to their parents, Romeo and Juliet may have lived. We're not just stopping there. Next, Friar Lawrence also continues hiding the truth, even when Juliet's parents are planning another wedding. Again, not talking to Juliet's parents at this point puts Juliet in a horrible situation where she must take desperate action to avoid having two husbands. Clearly, because Friar Lawrence never tells Romeo and Juliet's parents about the wedding, and he performs the actual wedding ceremony, he is the most responsible adult who contributes to their death. Right? Again, a little bit repetitive, but it's using the formula in a very specific and helpful way. I get what the student is trying to argue, I get how the student is trying to prove the argument, and I get why it's important, right? The students making these connections. So again, it's just a useful tool, right, to kind of refresh, right? Or if you haven't ever heard this concept before, it's crucial to kind of build stronger paragraphs for college writing, especially what we're doing since we're dealing with expository writing. Almost everything we do is going to be analytical based, so we want to use this model to help. So Just in terms of general conclusions, again, it's always this kind of good kind of formula, right? We have a topic sentence, we have support, and then we have synthesis or warrants and concluding sentences, and sometimes more than one concluding sentence. So it's a good way of just kind of thinking that paragraphs can be formulaic, right? And that's not a bad thing. We could use a specific analytical formula to help build how we analyze literature and film. So we have a good analytical argument, then we have good textual or visual evidence, and then we have good concluding and connecting points. Again, if you have any questions, always email, stop by the office. In the meantime, just good luck with all the assignments and take care.